All right, so we are making pumpkin spice cinnamon roll. Everybody likes pumpkin spice in time for the holidays, right? Should be in that tray back there.
What are you looking for? I don't have covers.
So, to get a cinnamon roll flavor, you can actually put in cream cheese. Everybody's had cream cheese icing, right? Cream cheese and ice cream kind of sounds odd, right? It's really good.
So does the cream cheese create more of a smoother texture? Or?
It makes it a little more, more thick, more dense. It also gives it like that tang and that sweetness extra to it that you're looking for. So it balances the sweet with the tang, and you've got that cinnamon roll flavor. All right, where's the kit? Here it is. So I like to get everything prepped and ready. And as Steve said, I have a machine at home, so I do a lot of R&D. I play with a lot of flavors. The one thing about making ice cream, I really do believe Jeff when he says it's art. You can always add, but you can never take away. So when you're making your flavors and you are experimenting in your kitchen at work or whichever you're at, play with it. Just add a little bit of this, let it run for a bit, taste it, see what it's like, and then add whatever. But whatever you do, be sure to write it down. Wink, wink. Firm believer in writing it down so your recipes are the same and consistent every single time that you make them.
How many quarts?
3. I'm doing 3 this time. I believe, right? Is that what it says? 3 quarts?
3 quarts. Yes.
All right. So we have mix, cinnamon, pumpkin pie, pumpkin puree, cream cheese. Am I missing anything else? Vanilla? Is that what's on there? Yeah. All right. Anybody not a pumpkin spice fan? Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'm like, it is what it is.
Approximately how many scoops with this kit?
Depends on the size of your scoop. If a traditional scoop was 4 ounces, now I copy Jeff, I'm doing 5 to 6 ounces because the average cost of a cone has gone from $3, $3.25, $3.50 up to $5. So now we're serving it in a dish and giving a larger portion. I like the $5 price because that means a family of 4 can go in and buy ice cream and you pay with a $20 bill. If you make it $6, now you're pulling out a 20 and 4 ones, or you're pulling out a 20 and a 10, and all of a sudden Dad starts looking at $30 to buy ice cream? No, it wasn't $30, but that's how much the bills were that you put out. So 20 seems to work very well. So that's 4 people, $5 each. You're making a tremendous profit.
So at that size scoop, that's how many?
There's 128 ounces to a gallon. So you would divide it by 5.
So I'm going to turn it on. I'm not going to turn on the refrigeration yet because I want to get all of this stuff added in here. As Jeff had mentioned before, it is a great mixer. I don't need to blend it with a whisk or anything like that. I'm just putting it right in the machine.
What is the shelf life on those blades?
What is the lifespan of the blades? 5 years or $1 million gross sales.
And that's ultra conservative. I had my first store for 10 years. It never existed.
And our blades cost what the other guys cost, and they replace them every 6 months. We are every 5 years.
And when she doesn't have like everything in there, that's not wearing them down prematurely?
No, because the dairy is a lubricant. And so everything is nice and smooth and lubricated in there. It's not wearing it at all.
And it's a lot of fun watching it go down. I bought the whipped cream cheese because it's easier, it's smoother, and got a softer texture. So we did vanilla, so what's left? The spices, right? Oh, this doesn't fit. I don't know about this. I think I'm going to pull a Jeff.
Yeah.
How do you control the air content?
How do you control the air content? With the infinite overrun control. When you touch here and it says make ice cream, you have a choice. Homemade is going to be maximum air content. I'll show you. Well, I don't think you'll be able to hear it because we got the other machine on, but that's spinning now at 234 RPMs. Let's say I want to do super premium. It's about 165, so I would push super premium. Now these numbers don't correspond to any other machine. So if you go to a Cafajani or an Electro-Freeze and say, what do you spin your machine at? It doesn't matter compared to the Emery Thompson. These are the speeds that I picked for the different products. But look at this. I'm an executive chef, so that means I know everything in the world and I have my own opinion. So instead of 165 RPM, I want 155. All I had to do is tap the arrow down. I'm going down through 179. And there's 154. So I can pick anything I want, and then you write it down on your file card for your recipe. The slower you spin it, the less air you'll have in the machine. So it's really a great invention and very simple. Yes, sir?
Is the infinity over control in all the machines or only in the 24-quart machines?
It's on everything except the smallest, the 3-quart. It's on the CB350, the 12, 24, 44 are all designed the same. You can see the dashers. The people watching can't see this, but off camera you can see the different dashers. The designs are exactly the same. The cylinders are built the same way. Everything is the same across the machines, just bigger. Whoa. Yes.
What is adding more air into it due to the texture?
It makes it a lighter product. Air is a good thing. And I think the best way I can describe it is to say it's like comparing a birthday cake to a pound cake. They're both cakes, they're both delicious, but which one would you really go back and have a second piece of? The birthday cake. It leaves you feeling light, refreshed, it was delicious. The pound cake is heavy and dense, it's delicious. When I do pints, if I had a store, I would be running maximum air on my ice cream, but I would, for my scooping ice cream, but I lower it down for my pints because I want a product that I can bring home and I'm gonna pick at it. I'm gonna have a little taste as soon as I get it home. I'm gonna have a little more tonight for dinner, 10:30 at night, a little more. So I want a more dense product. Your cost will go down, your cost will go more costly with less air. Does that make sense? Because if you're pulling less out of the machine, if instead of getting 6 to 7 quarts, you're only getting 4 to 5, it just costs you more. So if you're going to do a dense ice cream, it will cost you more to sell.
Talk about freeze time. So Steve had mentioned earlier about the more sugar you add, the longer the machine will take to freeze. That's just science. There's no way around it. So we added some cream cheese, not very much sugar there. Then we added some pumpkin puree, not much sugar, but it's still an added sugar. So when you add any type of natural sugar, you're going to increase your batch times. Not drastically. It could be anywhere from 30 seconds to an extra minute or so. And then I would like to touch a little bit about when you pull it and extract it and know when it's ready. So I'm kind of with Jeff on that. I like to pull mine a little bit thinner. Reason for me is when I pack pints with the smaller machines, can't do it so much with the larger ones, containers or pints or quarts or anything like that. As I said, I have one at home that I do a lot of R&D on. When you have thicker product coming out, I have to take my cup, I would sit there and smack it down and get a lot of the air pockets out. So when you pull it just a wee bit thinner, it fills up the air pockets a lot more smoother. You're not sitting there forever packing it down constantly to make sure your entire container, cup, pint, whichever you're filling is completely full to the top. When you work with flavors and different types and experimenting like this, I like this flavor the way it is. You might want to change it. You might want to add graham crackers for a crust flavor. You might even want to bake some pumpkin spice cinnamon rolls. Let them cool down, chop them up, and then throw them in there. You can do that as well.
You brought up a while back, you get set doing things a certain way, and I was always filling pints by taking it out of the machine and then scooping them into the pints and putting them in the freezer. It works very well. Christie comes along and says, well, you've got the infinite overrun control. Why not just slow it down to a real slow speed, like 130, 135? Now it's coming out a little slower, and so you can fill pints right at the mouth of the machine. You've got to be quick. You can't fill 3 pints and then say, okay, I'm going to go over and put them in the freezer. You want to get it all out of there, so you fill them, close it, fill it, close it, fill it, close it. And then to get the last bit out, as someone said, you just tap the speed back up to full speed to get the rest of the discharge out. But you don't need to do like another company where they sell a $3,500 additional door just to fill pints. My infinite overrun control, which nobody else has, will do it for you by just slowing down the drive. It's
Unless
just
you
so
got
simple.
a husband at home like I do, then I'm like, pint, pint, pint. And we swap and go back and forth.
When you get really large, then we can send you to a company called Sawville Automation, which for about $7,800 makes a tabletop filler where you put it into the hopper just right after you made it, and you just push a foot pedal, and boom, it fills a pint, put another in, fills it, put it in, fills it with just a tap of your foot.
Another point about freeze times too is your very, very first batch of the day is going to take a little bit longer than the rest of your batches. So the reason why is because your machine is warm. It hasn't made anything, so it's not cold yet. So when you go to write down your freeze times, if you've got your formula to the science to exactly the way you want it, I would do your freeze time on your second batch. Reason is that's going to be more accurate than the first one. So the more batches you do after each other, it's going to freeze a little bit faster. Not drastically once again, but maybe a minute, 2 minutes. But if you're working with plain vanilla, then you can probably work around that same, yes.
Freeze time for the same flavor, exactly the same for the different machine sizes?
They couldn't hear that.
No. So he asked, are the freeze times the same for the same flavor but for each machine? No, not really. You're looking maybe at a minute or 2 difference. For the small guy, the CB200, like at home, this is the one that I have. I do a lot of R&D. I can make vanilla ice cream in like probably 5 minutes. We come up to this one, I'm looking at maybe 6 minutes. When you get to the 24, you're looking about 7-8 minutes. That's about right. So you look about a minute extra. Anything too big, because you're adding more sugar. You have to remember that. So even though I only added 1 can of pumpkin puree in this one, I've got to add 4 cans of pumpkin puree for this one.
Yeah.
So that increases your freeze time because you're adding more sugar to it. So this is called the cutoff check, as what we were talking about a little bit before. So you open and you close and you cut it off. It plopped down a little bit. You can see it melted from the earlier check. If I was at home, I would pull it about right now because I would put it in my pints. But being that I'm serving it to you guys, I'm going to run it a little bit longer so it holds its firmness a little bit more. Another benefit of pulling it on the thinner side, we're not wanting soup, not ice cream soup, but on the thinner side, it's easier to make a variegate. Jeff makes a beautiful variegate. There is a video on YouTube on how to do that. If you're interested, just shoot me an email and I can send you the link, and it shows him how to make a perfect variegate. Variegate is the swirls that you see, to where you can do like the chocolate swirls or strawberry swirls. So that's another benefit of pulling it thinner. Steve has another method that you can do, and that's the easy way. As you're extracting it, you have a little squeeze bottle of your syrup and you squirt it as it's coming out, and there's no need to go through the process of what Jeff does. I like Jeff's method. It's really gorgeous, and you've got that beautiful ice cream marble effect. So we've talked a little bit more, so let's check it now. I could go about another minute or 2 on that. Another thing too is when you think you need about 30 more seconds of freeze time, go ahead and shut your refrigeration off, because it's still going to freeze for at least another 30 more seconds because it's super, super cold in there. So that's another thing too. And you'll notice as your product is extracting, the back end of your ice cream is just a little bit more firmer because of that method. It's still freezing while you shut it off. All right, let's check it now. I think we're good. So I'm going to shut this off, and I'm just going to go ahead and go.
But see how fast that comes out? Again, back to the tater tots. You want to get that product out fast. If you're taking too long to get it out, you're changing the air content.